Welcome to our channel where today we're embarking on a photography adventure. We're diving into 4 captivating photography techniques, from the enchanting allure of low-light cityscapes to the intimate detail of your own eye. We'll then ascend thousands of feet above the ground to take photos from an airplane window, and finally we'll reach for the stars to photograph the mesmerizing Milky Way. Each technique offers its own unique challenges and rewards, promising an adventure like no other. So without further ado, let's get started. First up, low-light cityscapes. Capturing city lights at night can be magical. The way the urban landscape glows against the night sky, the patterns of light and shadow etched into the city's fabric. It all comes together to create a spectacle like no other. Now, capturing this magic is an art form in itself, one that requires the right gear, settings, and techniques. Let's delve into the specifics. First, you'll need a sturdy tripod. You see, shooting in low light means longer exposure times, and that makes your camera susceptible to shake. A good tripod will keep your camera steady, ensuring your photos are sharp and clear. Next, let's talk settings. Low-light cityscapes call for a delicate balance between shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. A long exposure will allow more light to reach your sensor, illuminating your scene beautifully. But be mindful, too long an exposure can result in overexposed light sources or introduce noise into your image. On the other hand, the aperture dictates how much light enters your camera. A wider aperture, say f2.8, lets in more light, allowing you to use a faster shutter speed. However, this can result in a shallower depth of field. A narrower aperture like f8 or f11 gives a larger depth of field, ensuring more of your scene is in focus, but it also means less light. And then there's the ISO. Ideally, keep it as low as possible to avoid noise. But in low light conditions, you might need to push it up a notch. Remember, it's all about balance. Now, gear and settings are important, but nothing beats the power of observation and experimentation. Study your scene. Look for patterns, interesting light sources, reflections, anything that catches your eye. Don't be afraid to experiment with different perspectives, angles, and compositions. And one more thing, don't forget about the magic hour. That's the period just after sunset or before sunrise. The sky isn't completely dark yet, and this twilight can add a beautiful hue to your cityscape, creating a perfect blend of natural and artificial light. Now let's move on to post-processing. Here you can fine-tune your images, adjust the exposure, tweak the colors, and bring out the details. But remember, post-processing is a tool to enhance your images, not fix them. So strive to get it right in camera first, and that's how you capture a city's radiant glow after dark. It's about understanding the interplay of light and shadow, mastering your gear and settings, and above all, appreciating the beauty of the urban landscape as it comes alive under the night sky. So grab your camera, venture out into the night, and let the city lights guide your lens. Now let's get personal by photographing your own eye. This is a journey into the realm of macro photography, where the small becomes grand and every detail counts. When we talk about capturing an image of your eye, we're not just talking about a casual selfie. We're delving into the unique patterns of your iris, the varying colors, and the intricate structures that make your eye, well, yours. Let's start with lighting. Lighting is the painter's brush of photography. It can create depth, mood, and bring out the finer details. In this case, we want a soft, diffused light that won't cause harsh shadows or reflections. An overcast day by a window could work, or a softbox if you have one. The key is to experiment with different lighting conditions to find what best accentuates the details of your eye. Next comes focus. When you're dealing with macro photography, the depth of field is shallow, so precise focus is crucial. You're aiming to capture the intricate patterns of the iris, so that's where your focus should be. Using manual focus will give you the control you need. It might take a bit of time to get it just right, but the results will be worth it. Now, let's talk about patience. Photographing your own eye can be a bit tricky. It involves a lot of trial and error. You'll need to take multiple shots, adjust your settings, and maybe even your position or angle. But remember, every great photograph is the result of perseverance. So don't get discouraged if you don't nail it on the first, second, or even third try. A macro lens is your best friend here. It allows you to get close enough to capture all the tiny details of your eye. A tripod can also be a game changer. It will provide the stability you need to get a clear, sharp image. And don't forget about post-processing. A bit of editing can go a long way in bringing out the details and colors of your eye. Photographing your own eye is a fascinating exercise in patience, precision, and creativity. It's a chance to see yourself in a whole new light, to discover patterns and colors you never knew existed, It's an intimate portrait that tells a unique story, your story. With these tips, you can create an intimate portrait like no other. So, grab your camera, find your light, and start exploring the world in your eye, because sometimes the most fascinating landscapes are the ones we carry within us. Ever wanted to capture the world from above? Let's take to the skies. The view from an airplane window can be breathtakingly beautiful. A sweeping panorama of landscapes, cities, and oceans, all bathed in a soft, ethereal light. But as magical as it is, it can also be tricky to photograph. Fear not, for we're here to guide you on this aerial photography adventure. First, let's talk about reflections. Airplane windows are notorious for causing glare and unwanted reflections in your photos, which can ruin an otherwise perfect shot. The solution? A simple one, a lens hood. This nifty little accessory can do wonders in reducing glare and reflections, allowing you to capture the view unobstructed. Now let's move on to seating. If you're planning to take photos, the seat you choose can make a significant difference. The window seat, of course, is a must. But which side of the plane should you sit on? That depends on the direction of your flight and the time of day. If you're flying east in the morning or west in the evening, you'll have the sun at your back, which can provide beautifully lit shots. Let's not forget about camera settings. When shooting from an airplane, you're dealing with a lot of movement, and often less than ideal lighting conditions. Here's where your camera's shutter speed comes into play. A faster shutter speed can help freeze the motion of the plane and the passing scenery, giving you sharp, clear images. As for the aperture, a wider setting can help let in more light, which can be especially helpful when shooting at dawn or dusk. And finally, let's touch on the subject of composition. The view from an airplane window often presents a unique perspective, but it can also be somewhat limiting due to the small window size. So it's crucial to get creative with your framing. Look for interesting patterns in the landscape below, or use the wing of the airplane as a leading line in your shot. And remember, the rule of thirds can still apply even when you're miles up in the air. In conclusion, shooting photos from an airplane window can be an exciting and rewarding challenge. With the right preparation, the right seat, and the right settings on your camera, you can capture stunning images that truly convey the awe-inspiring beauty of the world from above. And that's how you seize the moment thousands of feet up in the air. So the next time you're on a flight, don't just sit back and enjoy the view. Capture it, immortalize it, and share your unique perspective with the world. Our final adventure takes us to the stars as we capture the Milky Way. This ethereal river of stars has mesmerized humans for millennia, and today, we're going to learn how to photograph it. So buckle up as we launch into this cosmic journey of astrophotography. Astrophotography is a little different from your regular photography, but it's not as daunting as it seems. The first step in our galactic quest is location scouting. You'll need to find a spot far from city lights to avoid light pollution. Ideally, this should be a place with a clear view of the southern sky. There are plenty of apps and websites that can guide you to the perfect dark sky location. Once you've found your spot, it's time to set up your gear. A sturdy tripod is a must to keep your camera stable during long exposures. As for your camera, a DSLR or mirrorless camera with manual mode is ideal. A wide-angle lens with a large aperture, say f2, 8 or wider, is perfect for capturing as much of the galaxy as possible. Now let's talk about settings. Start by setting your camera to manual mode. This gives you complete control over your settings. For your aperture, set it as wide as it can go. This allows the maximum amount of light to reach your sensor. Next, we'll set the shutter speed. This can be a bit tricky as you'll need a long exposure to capture the faint light of the stars, but not so long that the stars start to trail due to the Earth's rotation. A good starting point is 20 seconds. Feel free to experiment to get the best result. The ISO setting controls your camera's sensitivity to light. A higher ISO will make your camera more sensitive to light, but it will also introduce more noise or grain into your image. Start with an ISO of around 1600 and adjust as necessary. Finally, set your focus to infinity. This will ensure that the stars appear sharp in your image. Some lenses have an infinity mark, but if yours doesn't, you can focus on a distant light or use the live view mode to focus on a bright star. Once you're all set up, it's time to start shooting. Take a test shot and review it. Adjust your settings if necessary. Remember, astrophotography is all about experimentation and patience. If you're not happy with your first shot, don't be disheartened. Keep trying until you get that perfect shot of our galaxy. With these techniques, you're ready to capture the galaxy's majesty. Remember, the beauty of astrophotography lies in the journey as much as the destination. So even if your first few attempts don't turn out as expected, don't give up. Keep shooting, keep experimenting, and soon you'll have a stunning image of the Milky Way to call your own. Photography is an endless journey of discovery, Today we've embarked on an adventure that took us from the mesmerizing glow of low-light cityscapes to the intricate designs of our own eyes. We soared above the clouds, capturing the world from an airplane window, and then reached for the stars as we snapped shots of the Milky Way. In every scene, whether it was the urban jungle bathed in neon lights or the celestial ballet of galaxies, we found beauty and mystery waiting to be captured. Each technique taught us something new, reinforcing the importance of practice, patience, and creativity in our photographic journey. Whether you're capturing the city's nightlife, exploring the uniqueness of your own eye, framing the world from thousands of feet up, or photographing the dance of the stars, remember that each shot brings you one step closer to mastering this art. Remember, practice, patience, and creativity are your best tools. Thanks for joining our photography adventure. If you've been inspired, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'd love to see the magic you capture, so share your photos and experiences below. Until next time, keep exploring the world through your lens.